All right, the Paris Masters draw is out, so we are set for the final Masters 1000 of the year. Novak Djokovic will not be in attendance. He's taking a break preparing for the ATP World Tour Finals. And we've got Jannik Sinner and Alcaraz on opposite sides of the draw. So everyone's wondering, are we going to see them in the final? Again, there's probably a good chance of that, but there's some very interesting other things in this draw. Mainly, Medvedev being on Alcaraz's side of the draw for a change. He's probably kissing the earth after having been on the same side with Sinner like too many times to count this year. In fact, actually, probably some of you could count it. And you'll probably let me know in the comment section below because that's how we do it. Let's get into it. Let's break it all down. This is the Slice presented by Betway. Thanks for being here. Okay, we've got lots of great tennis going on. I mean, in Basel and Vienna, awesome matches, a lot of three-setters, a lot of great players playing great tennis. Some of them vying for those final couple spots at the ATP World Tour Finals, and some guys like Mpeshi Perricard just kind of dazzling. He actually has beaten 2 Canadians in a row, so that's a bit of like we're gonna have to study this in the history books of Canada as to what's going on in Basel right now. But we'll talk more about it. But anyways, thanks for being here. This is The Slice. If you haven't been here before, welcome, and please subscribe. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And shout out to our sponsors. The Slice is presented by Betway. If you want to get my tips or picks on some of the odds that are flying around with the matches that come up, follow me on the Betway feed, which is the link down below. I post tips, picks, and we get into it there on the Betway feed. So check them out. Thanks for supporting the show. The Slice is also presented in part by Tennis TV. Yes, the Tennis TV, the official streaming service of the ATP Tour. A lot of you ask, where do I find the tennis? Where do you watch? Where do you watch? And I always just say Tennis TV. It's the best place to watch it. It's ultra high def every single time. You can scrub through the matches really easily. And it's really a no-brainer if you're a tennis fan and you have $20 to spare every month. I couldn't imagine being a tennis fan without it. The link below is to try. Yeah, check out Tennis TV. Shout out to them. We will. One of my favorite things about it is if you miss a match, you can go back there on replay and watch them. And the highlights are also up really quickly. So better than YouTube because it's all in one place. It's all high def. It's not ripped. Check it out. Thanks for the support to Tennis TV. Okay, let's talk about Paris. The final Masters of the year is a great event. I was there 2 years ago at the Accor Arena. Tommy Paul's coach gave us courtside tickets for his match when he beat Roberto Bautista Agut in the little hockey rink side courts there. It's a big main court, and it's a big opportunity for players to get points and momentum at the end of the year. Mainly, we're talking about Alex de Minaur, Grigor Dimitrov are like the main guys gunning for the ATP final spot. de Minaur is still alive in Vienna, I believe. Dimitrov lost, and Holger Rune is actually still alive. So yeah, the Paris tournament is awesome, and we've got the Saudi Kings back in action. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. No Novak Djokovic. He pulled out. He wasn't ready. He's assumingly going to play the ATP finals. But again, he's at 24 slams. He's playing the tournaments he wants to play. Here's the draw. Let's get into it. As I said, Sinner on the top, number 1 seed, Alcaraz on the bottom, but epically, Daniil Medvedev on the Alcaraz side as the 4th seed. He could have been on the top, and he's been on the top so many times. So some commenter who has more time in their hands than I do should look up how many times this year Medvedev and Sinner have been on the same side of the draw. I would guess it has been 6 times. And I think 3 of the majors, it was that way. So it's pretty crazy, and we've joked about it a lot on the channel here. So Medvedev's on the Alcaraz side, so that's not necessarily easier at all, but he's just probably gotten sick of playing Daniil Medvedev or Jannik Sinner because it hasn't exactly been going great for him as of late. But let's look at the draw. So in the Jannik Sinner quarter, this is the 64-player draw, which we love. Small draw in the Master 1000. Sinner's got a bye in the first round. Then he'll play the winner of Ben Shelton versus Felix Auger-Aliassime. That is crazy. Obviously, Sinner's going to be the favorite for both of those matches, but Felix Auger-Aliassime has been in the 2 years ago, in this tournament, made the World Tour Finals. Ben Shelton's obviously we all know what he brings. And that's first matchup in Paris that is tough for Sinner. And then he could play Bublik or Runa in the next round, which is also incredibly tough. Runa not playing great, but he did win this tournament 2 years ago. So he's got swagger here. Maybe he's going to find it again. So Sinner could play, let's say, Ben Shelton or Felix Auger-Aliassime. Let's just say Felix. I'm going to put out some good vibes there for a Canadian guy who has been struggling. Felix, and then he'll play Runa, and then he could play Demonauer or Taylor Fritz or Jack Draper. I mean, it doesn't get any easier. So in the center quarter, the other top seed is Taylor Fritz, the 5th seed, the hardest or the highest seeded player he could have in that quarter. So that is a tough quarter if you ask me. But really, these tournaments with the smaller draws, they're tough from the get-go, and that's why I think they're awesome. Alexander Zverev, 3rd seed. He is in the quarter with Rublev on the bottom of his quarter. He could play Darderi or Griekspoor first, and then probably Musetti, who just beat him in Vienna. Depending on how long or far Musetti goes, we'll see his energy levels. Tsitsipas is on the bottom half of that quarter, but that from just looking at it right there, that quarter is definitely a lot softer than the Sinner quarter, which is really Demonauer, Rune, Fritz, Shelton, Felix Auger-Aliassime, all in the Jack Draper, the Yuri Lehechka, all in the Sinner quarter. So that is a tough draw for Sinner, I think. On the bottom, the Daniil Medvedev quarter, he's got either Berrettini or Popyrin in the first round in his first match, that's pretty tough. Wow. That is that's a US Open beater of Novak Djokovic, and that's a former Wimbledon finalist who is getting better and better and better as he recovers from lots of time off due to injury. Medvedev could after that play either Tiafoe, who draws Impey-Péricard in the first round. Nightmare, absolute nightmare. From France, he'll have the French crowd, and he has the biggest serve I think I've ever seen. I think it's the biggest serve I've ever seen. Let's just put it this way: I've seen Felix Auger-Aliassime and now Denis Shapovalov both lose back-to-back in Basel to Impey-Péricard, and I really haven't seen anything like it. I think it's bigger than John Isner's. It's bigger than Ivo Karlovic. I mean, those guys probably have better control over their serves at this point in their career, but Impey, he'll hit a ball that's 2 feet in from the sideline, 2 feet in from the baseline or from the service line, and guys won't even move for it. It'll just be a clean ace. It's so fast, they can't even touch it. He's serving at 250 kilometers an hour. It's freaking crazy. So Impey-Péricard is a nightmare for France's TFO. I actually pretty much expect Impey-Péricard to come through that. To play Medvedev, that would be an absolute wild match to watch, those two guys playing. I think Medvedev would win because he stands so far back and he just get enough back that he would beat Impey-Péricard, who's like about 50-50 on the season, but he's now inside the top 50. He's dangerous. Also in that quarter, though, is Uber Urkac, who plays Mickelson first, and then Grigor Dimitrov to either play Etcheverry or Zhizhen Zhang. So that's an interesting quarter for Medvedev. I wouldn't say too hard, not too soft. Alcaraz, he'll play either Nicolas Jarry or a qualifier, and then he could play another qualifier after that, or Ugo Humbert or Brandon Nakashima. Tommy Paul's the 11th seed there on the top half of that quarter, and he is bookended by Casper Ruud being the 7th seed there. So I think actually Alcaraz might have the softest draw. Tommy Paul is a matchup that he is tough for him. So that could be a great quarterfinal match if it gets there, because I really expect Tommy Paul to get through there over Casper Ruud. I expect Tommy Paul to be there in the quarterfinals for Alcaraz. But yeah, that's a good draw for Alcaraz. I think a tougher draw for Sinner. So will we see Sinner and Alcaraz in the final? I think it's a good chance. They're the two best players in the world right now, without a doubt, in my opinion. It's very clear. And they're there. Djokovic is not there. He's taking a rest. What does that mean? What does Djokovic taking a rest mean? I don't know. What are the fans, if you're watching, what do you think Djokovic is doing? He's just taking time off. He doesn't want to play. I don't know. But him skipping Paris, it's not that notable. I would say at this point in his career, it's just mainly sad for all of us who don't get to watch him play. On a fast indoor hard court, he's amazing. Didn't want to play after the 6th King Slam. I've heard it paid a little better. It definitely did. So yeah, so that's that. Let's go now to Basel. Let's look at, anyway, so that's a preview of Paris. Prediction time, I'm going to predict Carlos Alcaraz beating Jannik Sinner in the final. He's got an easier route, and it's just going to be interesting. Sinner just won at the 6th King Slam, but Alcaraz has beaten him on these fast court, hard court matches this year, and he's only got to do it. So it's going to be interesting to see. I can't wait. I kind of hope they play again, but it's just going to be a great tournament. That's a preview on Paris. Now let's go to Basel here and look at the matches that have been happening here. So this is the quarterfinals. Shelton takes out Rublev in 3 sets. That was a great match. I watched a good chunk of it. So Shelton gets through, beats the number 1 seed Rublev to then play Arthur Fils of France, who beats Tsitsipas. Again, Tsitsipas is just, it's really remarkable to see his stature and his place in the men's game change over the last few years. Just the opposite way of it typically goes, how it typically goes for the young guys. And he's not even a young guy anymore on the tour. Feels so negative to say, but that's just what it is. David Goffin loses to Holger Rune. David Goffin's been having a great last few weeks and months on tour. He was in playing challengers last year in Canada, and now he's back, I believe, in the live rankings, well inside the top 50. So he is doing great. He's out, though, in the quarterfinals to Rune, who's got the nice result for Rune. Semifinals in Basel, where he was the finalist in 2022. He will play Mpeshi Perricard, who beat Shapovalov in 3 sets. It was tight. Shapovalov played a really good match, actually. I'd like to look at the stats for this one. Wonder if they have winners, John Forced errors. Only 2 hours, obviously virtually zero. I'm going to look at that. Rally analysis, virtually 0 points. Look at that. 9+ shot rally, 3. There's 3. Shapovalov won 2 of them. Shapovalov won 24 out of the, I guess that's 35, 5 to 8 shot rallies. And then in the 0 to 4 shot rallies, Mpeshi Perricard won 98 and Shapovalov won 75. So insane. These short points, huge serving, totally hard to play against. But Shapovalov did a pretty good job himself. 27 aces, 6 double faults. And Mpeshi Perricard, who's essentially serving 2 first serves at all times, 27 aces, 6 double faults. Win percentage on first serve, 81%, and Shapovalov's was 80%. So really, Shapovalov played a good match. Breakpoint saves, Shapovalov saved 2 of them. Mpeshi Perricard saved all 3. That's crazy. I mean, it's not that crazy, actually. It's when you have a bigger serve, it's easier to save your breakpoints. But the fact that even Shapovalov got 3 is pretty good. Winners, 46 winners for Perricard and 27 winners for Shapo. But yeah, to me, that was a good match by Shapo and an encouraging result for him. Quarterfinal there. Obviously, he would have loved to get through Mpeshi Perricard, as he is kind of the more, he's a more veteran player on tour and has had a higher ceiling in general, and I think still does. But Mpeshi Perricard through to the semifinals to play Holger Rune. So we've got Shelton, Fils, Rune, Mpeshi Perricard in Basel. And if we go over to, that's not it. If we go over to Vienna, or Wien, as they say, in Austria, I believe, Zverev loses to Musetti in 3 sets. Musetti, someone called it a big surprise, a shock loss in Vienna for Zverev. To be honest, I don't really think it is. Musetti is a great player, Wimbledon semifinalist. That's what happens in these ATP 500s. It's tough. You can lose to a guy like Musetti. From a setup, though, Musetti is through to play Draper, who also comes through in 3 sets, a lot of 3-set matches. I wasn't lying. Draper comes through Mahak. I'm forgetting this. Am I Mahak? I listen. Let's listen to it right now.
Thomas Mahak. Thomas Mahak.
Thomas Mahak. Duh. Okay. Sorry, Thomas Mahak, and commenters who are going to be upset. I know it now. I was forgetting. Draper comes through that. Nice result for Draper. Semifinals in Basel to play Musetti. And then we've got Berrettini losing to Khachanov. Khachanov 6-1, 6-4. Good result. And he'll play Demonauer, who came through in a monster 3-set match over Mensik. And that is, a good result for Demonauer, who we also know is gunning for that tennis or ATP finals spot. So great semifinals in Paris and Vienna. Great draw in Paris. It's a great, I can say this from experience. It's a great time to be in Western Europe right now. If you're a tennis fan, you should be at one of these 2 tournaments, and then you should be at the Paris Masters. The tickets are cheap, if I remember, for the Paris Masters. It's bit of a weird venue, but you see some pretty, with this small draw, you see some amazing matches on the hockey court rinks on the side. So I would highly recommend going. Shout out to Betway. Follow me on the Betway feed for tips and picks. And shout out to the Tennis TV. Link below. Click the link below just to check it out. That helps us, and that helps you guys be better tennis fans. I cannot imagine being a tennis fan without Tennis TV. Click the link below to learn more. We'll see you guys next time here on the show. Thanks for being awesome. May the best man win in Paris and Vienna. And in Paris. Wait, Paris, Vienna. In Basel and Vienna and in Paris. See you next time.